name is Miranda, and today I am here to review the new Casey McQuiston book, I Kissed Shara Wheeler. And first of all, before we even get started talking about any part of this book, we need to talk about the cover. This cover is gorgeous. The color, the envelope, the back is adorable with the little envelope and the kissies, and the spine is so cute. I even wore a shirt that to try and match the spine. Does it kind of match? You see what I was going for? And not only that, but when you open it up, it's got little kissy marks, which I think is so freaking cute. Like, look how adorable. Like, just the amount of effort put into just like to make this such a pretty book is like, I love it. I love it so freaking much. So this is, of course, Casey McQuiston's first YA book. She's written 2 amazing romance books, Red, White, and Royal Blue, and One Last Stop that I absolutely loved. And this is her first foray into YA, but of course it's gonna be romancy. And it is very reminiscent of Paper Towns by John Green. It even has some Easter egg references to that book, and I really love that book. It's my second favorite John Green book after An Abundance of Catherines. So I was super excited to read a book that had similar vibes to that. Obviously being its own original thing, but like definitely you can see where they are like inspired by Paper Town, if you will. So basically, if you haven't heard of what I Kissed Shara Wheeler is about, the main character is named Chloe Green, and she lives in the super conservative southern town. She moved there from California with her 2 moms when she was younger, and she just has never really felt like she's fitting in the town because she is bi and she has 2 moms, and you know, obviously the school that she goes to is very not into any of that. Like, they're like, we don't talk about that, we don't like people like that, but we're gonna pretend that we like, there's a different reason we don't like you, not that it's that you're gay, but like that there's something else about you that we don't like. So she is in her final year, and her nemesis, her enemy that gets her blood boiling, is Shara Wheeler, who is the principal's daughter and just all around like good girl, like epitome of, you know, blonde, blue-eyed, does everything she's supposed to, has a perfect boyfriend, perfect life, perfect Instagram, and she and Chloe have really been in competition for valedictorian since Chloe started. Like, they've been neck and neck with everything, and the day or the night of prom, Shara disappears. And the last thing that she does before she disappears is leaves these letters for Chloe, Smith, who's Shara's boyfriend, and Rory, who is Shara's next door neighbor, who has had a crush on her for as long as like he can remember. And the other thing that she did besides leaving them these letters is she kissed all 3 of them before she disappeared, without really any explanation in the terms of Chloe or Rory's perspective. Like, she just kissed them and left, and now they're trying to figure out where she went and play this whole little mystery game that Shara has set up for them, and solving the puzzles and finding the other clues and finding exactly where Shara went and why she went and what her end game is. So it's a nice little kind of mystery catch thing that these 3 embark on, and I really like the dynamic between Smith, Rory, and Chloe. You find out that Smith and Rory used to be friends in middle school and had like a falling out, and because Rory has a crush on Smith's girlfriend, they obviously have never gotten along very well. I will say Smith takes it remarkably well that his girlfriend kissed 2 people. He's just kind of like, okay. Like, I really love Smith. I think Smith walked away being my favorite character because he was just so, he's a quarterback, right? So you expect, and I think Chloe has this very kind of narrow-minded view of him that she kind of starts to learn is not true at all, and just he's very sweet and very fun, and I really like Smith, and his whole journey throughout this novel is very sweet, and just the dynamic of the 3 of them is really funny because initially the only thing they have in common, really, or at least the only thing they think they have in common, is that Shara kissed all of them and has now left them letters to figure out where she went, and that's not really a big thing that bonds you, but the more time they end up spending together, and I think Chloe in particular, since this is from her point of view, the more that they realize they do have in common, and that you think, like, Chloe herself always obviously feels very not a part of things, and I think she thinks that for other people who seemingly do seem a part of things, it's easy for them, but she kind of starts to realize that no, it's not always easy. Just because people look like they have it easy doesn't mean that they're struggling with something themselves, and I think that's a really good message that she kind of has to learn. And there is a whole thing about when, you know, she kind of starts to learn about her reactions to things and how people react differently to things, but that doesn't mean that they're okay with something. So for Chloe, she realizes she gets angry when she's scared, right? Like she doesn't want to feel scared, so she lashes out, and other people, meanwhile, might like play the game or kind of, you know, just act like everything's okay even though they don't really agree with it, just so that they can get through it and then get on to real life, which is going to be outside of this town. And I really, really like that. I think it was a good message, and I think all the characters are very well developed. Chloe also has like this really great group of friends, like I said, that's super funny and super well developed, and you can just really, like, you feel like you're in this book. Like, you feel like you're there with the characters at school. You're there with the characters hanging out at the one bookstore in town with the piles and piles of books. You feel like you're there chasing down, trying to find Shara with all of them. You feel like you're at the party that Chloe goes to for the first time and starts to actually kind of enjoy herself. And I just think it's just so fun. There's something so magical about Cassie McQuiston's writing that is just wonderful. Like, it's like literally the kind of thing that you feel like is like a wizard rolling like a d20. Like, there's just something about her books that if you told me like she has like a magic pen that she writes with and like the script just comes out and like is imbued with this kind of, I don't know, aura to make you feel like happy and infectious and like just part of the world, I would 100% believe you, because you just walk away feeling so happy with her books. And I read this book in the middle, actually at the start and in the middle, of being hopped up on my wisdom teeth pain, and I was just so like not happy and just miserable, and this book just makes you so happy. Like, I love Chloe, she's so sassy and funny, and I love Smith, and I love Rory, and I love Shara too. You don't get to see Shara for a majority of it. A lot of it is seeing Shara through Chloe's point of view and the stories that Chloe has interacting with her, and also Smith and Rory to a certain extent, but obviously those are them telling Chloe, so we don't really know how 1000% true that is, just like we don't really know how 1000% true Chloe's version of Shara is that she makes, because obviously, I mean, to disappear on prom night and like leave this, that's not like a normal thing, right? That's not like everything's going great and dandy and I love my life. Like, there's obviously something more to that, and I think diving into that is really interesting, and I don't want to spoil like what happens, but the latter half of the book changes up a bit just in terms of like what we're doing, if that makes sense. And I also really, really like that, because I think you get to see the effects of, you know, how you think. And I think Chloe kind of thinks too at a certain point of like, just change, like make it so like you're not okay with this, say stuff. And I think you realize along with her that it's not easy necessarily for the principal's daughter to act out and be like whatever. Like, she doesn't have the perfect life. She has the perfect life as long as she does what her parents want her to do, and if not, then we run into issues. So the whole thing was just so super adorable. I loved the characters. Like I said, Chloe in particular is very close to my heart, just because I feel like she's very similar to me. I feel like in how I felt about a lot of stuff in high school, and just like when they were like, you get angry when you're scared, I was just like, yep, I get that. Like, you just lash out and stuff like that, and I really, really liked that. And then Smith has this whole journey that's amazing that I don't want to spoil at all, but like reading it, I was like, wow, this is so well done in not making it a thing and just being like whatever, and just that's how it should feel naturally, and everyone around you is just like, you do you. And I loved it. It just feels so normal, you know? Like, it's great to see representation, but then it's also great to see representation where it's like you just are who you are. It's not a big thing. It's not like this thing that someone has to announce and put a label on. It's like they just exist, you know? Chloe just exists. She's known who she is, and she knows that she's bi for a very long time, and she's told her mom she's comfortable with it, and she's got other friends who aren't as completely out because of the town they live in, but are comfortable with who they are, and it's just really refreshing to read. Like, I feel like this is a book that's going to help so many high schoolers and people that are just struggling with acceptance, especially in more conservative schools and towns that feel like they don't see people like them and that they don't have people like them to be, you know, to see happy and thriving. And I think books like this, that's what they do. They make you feel like, you know, I'm not alone. And these truly do feel like your friends, right? Like, you feel like you can relate to them, and you feel like you're there and you understand their motivations and all that. So even though the book is called I Kissed Shara Wheeler, it is about way more than Shara Wheeler. It is about the epitome of what the Shara Wheelers of the world represent. And I don't even mean like the people Shara Wheeler, I mean like the idea of a Shara Wheeler. The idea of like her parents want this perfect girl who does everything she's supposed to, has the best boyfriend, who's on the football team, who has perfect grades, all that stuff, and how not only that idea of a Shara Wheeler affects the other people around her, but affects the real person that is Shara Wheeler, because no one's perfect. You can't live up to an ideal of perfection. Like, that's just asking to lose. So for her to be put in that situation, it's not great either. And I really, really loved it. So I'm super, super excited to see what you guys thought of it, because it just came out today. So definitely highly encourage you to read it, even if you were like, oh, I don't really like YA. I think it's very similar to her other books, and it definitely feels like just amazing. So I'm super, super in love with it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It's definitely a new favorite of mine, and I do love Red, White, and Royal Blue, and I will always love it, and it will always have a special place in my heart since it is the first book by her and the first book that I read. But I think Shara Wheeler is my favorite book of hers now. I just loved it so much, and I love the characters and the world, and it reads so wonderfully, you know? And especially when I was just like miserable with my wisdom teeth, this is the book I needed. So I really, really loved it. Be sure to leave what you thought of it down below in the comments, who your favorite characters were and all that. And if you are in love with the cover as much as I am, like, I knew about this, but I didn't know about the spine till I went and actually like saw it, and I was like, so I'm in love with it. It is definitely one of my favorite reads of the year, and yeah, I just want to know what you guys think of it. So make sure to leave a comment down below what you thought. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! I Kissed Shara Wheeler.